Bonjour, everyone. We're back with the Motiv8 team just to get another wee chat on the go. With Gus, Des, myself, MC, and we have Lucy joining us today.
Hey.
Right,
Welcome, Lucy.
So it'll be good to get a bit of insight from her as well on different training styles and obviously training for females, which I'm going to say we're going to talk about getting back to the gym and how to get the most out of it because it's not long now. So we've got a few tips, a bit of advice for everyone going back, plenty to talk about. So I suppose we'll just start with, we'll probably start with you, Des, and we'll probably ask, what would be the first thing you're going to tell your clients going back? What's the advice you'd give them?
Right, the first thing I would definitely say is that I think they need to not try and do too much at once. Like it's a little bit, just slowly get yourself back into it. Some of my clients have been active over lockdown, and that's good. They'll all start at different levels, but if they haven't been doing very much, then I would obviously say like ease back in, start focusing on the training. Don't like try and do everything at once. Don't like try and put hundreds of diet advice in there at the same time. Don't try and do everything that you were doing before lockdown all at once when you get back. So like I think the number one step really is like choose to focus on your training and then don't go overkill with it. Just start building yourself back up because it was likely you're going to get DOMs again and all this stuff, and we don't need to like injure yourself literally within the first few weeks of coming back because you're so enthusiastic.
I like that point. See something, a little tip I would give some clients, basically going on from what you've just said, Des, is what I'm going to say to some of my guys is when we're first back in, some of the guys obviously haven't done much at all. So instead of going in, say on the Monday, smashing out a full hour and 15 minutes on a full leg session or a full chest session, what I'm saying to my guys is, and for all the motivators out there, is to do the first couple of weeks, break it into sort of like whole body session. Do maybe 4 sets of 3 or 4 sets of squats, 3 or 4 sets of a chest exercise, a bit of back, a bit of shoulders, whole body stuff. Because if you go in and blast a full hour, an hour plus on a leg session, you're not going to be walking for 3 days after it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely agree with that.
It's being sensible in it, isn't it? It's just being sensible and not going in. Obviously, you can't go into the gym first week back doing 6 sessions a week. Like it's building that up. Maybe try 3, especially if you're only getting 2-3 home workouts done. If you've not got the equipment, building it up like each week. Do like maybe 3 couple weeks, then 4. See how your body reacts to it.
Yeah, like because it's a big difference between home workouts, banging your press ups, body weight squats, sit ups, leg raises, etc., and then going full blast on barbell squats, adding your deadlifts in, barbell chest press, and that's a whole different ballgame. And after the first 2 or 3 days, if you go full throttle, I'm sure I did that last time, and my body was in bits the first week. So do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, you're kind of figuring out how much you can still lift.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to fall into that trap of going back and thinking, I'll just do what I did before. And I'd say definitely try and avoid that if you can go back. Because like, if you've not been doing much in the house or you've just been doing body weight, going back in and trying to like lift the same as you've done before, it's not going to be possible. And like you were saying, you're just going to be sore for days or injured. And then that means you've got to spend longer away from training. So you've definitely got to go in and gradually build it back up. Focus on, like Gus was saying, body basics. Just go in and just get a couple of basic moves in and focus on them first because you'll still get a lot from that. 100%.
It's about keeping it fun as well. It's about keeping it fun. Like you don't want to go in and, well, you're obviously going to have added motivation when we're back, but you don't want to, if you start having DOMs for the next few days and then pick up a little niggle, it sort of takes the fun out of it. You want to come back, just whole body sessions, bit of fun. You'll get to see everyone, bit of a social, and then you start getting down to the nitty gritty a couple of weeks down the line.
I will say that it's the same regardless to what you're doing. So some folk won't be weightlifting, but it's the same deal. Like if you're smashing cardio before, if you were doing extensive training, whatever sport that you're doing or anything like that, you're going to have to be careful coming back. I would say a little bit of focus on getting yourself a bit more mobile as well, because one of the things I learned from the first lockdown was like how stiff you get when you're not training regularly, or you're not in a sort of routine where you're staying mobile, unless you're engaging in some kind of flexibility training. You're going to find it very tough to come back. You'll just be stiff and sore from sitting on your ass or just
definitely
having
agree with
lockdown
that.
lifestyle.
I was the same when we went back in the last one. I just spent probably about 3-4 weeks just working on mobility, loosening up, because like I was like a piece of cardboard going back. It was just so stiff.
I had a front row view of you doing your stretching.
Oh yeah, Gussie was loving that. All my nice stretch positions. He was getting a bit excited.
I was in tight.
Right, we might have to cut this for the video.
Never.
Yeah.
Just keep it PG, folks.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah?
I'm the world's worst for not warming up and cooling down as well. like I'll go in and I'll maybe do I'll just start off with compound movements straight off the bat, won't do any stretching, anything like that, and then as Des knows, my body will just break, and it's because
that's a really good point as well,
not working on my mobility or stretching or doing anything.
Yeah,
because I think my body can do it. But
really good point about the warm-ups though is definitely get in, and you probably need a longer warm-up just to loosen up.
Yeah,
if you've been sitting around for a long time, it's probably going to be more focused on warming up than the actual sessions, just to build yourself back up.
You're gonna have almost like a pyramid of work. You're gonna be doing such a gradual increment into actual proper training sets, and then you have so much time coming down the other side in a giant long cool down, so you're not broken. But yeah, just get moving. Get moving, but don't be reckless. I think that's the kind of summary to all that. All right, Luce. Obviously, a lot of folk won't necessarily know who you are, because you've only just recently joined our Motiv8 team. We succumbed to peer pressure. And we found a talented female to join us, so that's good. How have you found working with the guys at boot camp now we've got them back on again?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. You know what, you've got such a great bunch there, and it's just working out with your pals, a big group of pals. It's honestly fantastic. And you know what, they work their asses off each session. They push it hard, and it's such a great atmosphere to be in, especially if you're a newcomer, you don't really know what's going on. That's a great bunch of people. Work ethic is amazing. It's great.
And how's Gus been treating you? Is he putting you in the deep end?
He's no, you know what, gradually I took part in the first 2 sessions, kind of getting used to what you guys have been doing in boot camp. And then this past week I've been taking the first half.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, first half.
Yeah, Joe, she's been Lucy's been absolutely spot on, fitted in really well. Obviously, Lucy knew a few of the guys from before, from in the gym, and I always say, we try and sort of marry together hard work and have a laugh at the same time. And Lucy's fitted in like a glove, and like I said to her, over time your confidence grows. You start to know what works and what doesn't work. If you should maybe work them harder, or take the foot off the gas, and you sort of you learn week to week, and she'll be flying before we know it.
We have got quite a varied bunch. We've got a varied ability level, and age as well. So it's for the group, it's really good, I think, to work with so many different people, because it helps you learn a lot better, and it's also good for them to kind of mix with different people and see how they train as well. And they're very competitive, but
they are,
which is great. You can't
have
a bit of competition.
What is this Friday? See, on the Tuesday session, I was doing a little team. Yeah, somebody's doing team race finishers, and it's funny when they start shouting at each other, "Oh, he's cheating, she's cheating." It's brilliant. It's all in a good manner, the way, but I really love how they're first. They have a smile on their face, but they want to win as well. Doesn't matter if it's a silly race, or if it's a race to 50 burpees, whatever it is. They've got we're really lucky to have a good group.
I would say that not everybody is going to be equally competitive. There's definitely a few key characters in there that like to chase it down a bit more than the others. That doesn't mean you can't have a good time. Don't feel like you're pressured into anything. I think they're quite a welcoming, warm group. So any ability
100%.
level, don't feel like you're going to go in there and you'll be like, I can't do anything. Everybody else is so strong. It's not like that. As MC said, super diverse. So hopefully you feel like you've been welcomed with open arms by the team.
Yes,
Lucy,
I have, for sure.
and I think it's quite nice that you managed to get back in before the gyms have opened. So you've got that little bit of a group already of folk that you'll know when they come wandering in and out of the gym.
This is also my first experience of group training, because obviously I started just at the end of the last lockdown. So we've not really managed to do classes in Pure Gym yet. So this is kind of my experience of getting into group.
So that's one of the questions I was going to say, actually. What has your experience been like? What's your what made you want to get in the gym in the first place, and what kind of things like got you hooked and made you want to stay in the fitness and side of lifestyle side of things?
Well, I've always been like a sporty person in high school and all through uni and stuff like that. I was quite ill with an eating disorder when I was younger. And that's kind of when, after I came out of that, that's when my kind of fitness journey began. And when I got to uni and kind of realised the bad habits I was picking up with my eating, that was kind of what I turned to, weight training. And I've been doing that for, 4 or 5 years now. And I met Ross at the old manager, and he's the one that kind of got me interested in personal training.
Is that Ross Young?
I had never looked back, really.
Cool. I mean, that's it. It's like you just got to find your gateway, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's interesting that it's lifting. So I think a lot of us have had a different story about how you got into sports, and we the other guys and us have had a wee video about this in the past about like what got us into it. But I definitely know that weight training is what got me hooked in this whole scenario in the first place. So I could totally understand that. Class instructions are completely different kettle of fish, though, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
It's fun. It can be really fun, but also just finding your niche and what like suits your style of teaching. And you get a reputation for like the sort of intensity. So one of the reasons I've like got Gus when we started getting the Motiv8 team together in the first place, one of the reasons I wanted Gus in the team was because he had a very strong reputation for tough classes. So it's you're learning from the best over there at boot camp.
All right.
No worries, eh? So anything you guys want to add?
What I'd love to know, Lucy, is like for all the sort of normal gym goers out there, especially females, getting into training, the impact it's had on you. Was there any barriers that you kind of come across through training? Like, obviously, the media, social media and stuff like that, there's quite a lot of misinformation out there. Is there anything that you had to overcome, and like what advice would you give to
so I think I've kind of come from like, I know a lot of people come into the gym looking to lose weight, and I have kind of come from like the opposite of that. I've looked to gain weight and gain a little bit of muscle, and I've gone from hours of working on cardio and gone straight into weight training. Social media was a big impact to start off with, actually. I think there was a whole trend in 2016 of everyone getting into fitness, and that was kind of what pushed me. Just taking it by basics, even just heading into the studio by myself, like starting off with like 10 kilogram barbell squats, like very basic, trying to get my form correct. And then obviously for women, I feel that the weights room is a big confidence thing, because sometimes you do walk in there and it is purely male. And I know that a lot of gyms have opened up like women only weight training rooms. That is a big thing, but I think it's overcoming that you're there to work on yourself, and so is everybody else, and nobody else is going to be looking at what you're doing. And just gradually, even just take a wee squat rack, go to yourself, do your squats, and then leave. You don't have to do your whole workout in there, just do it bit by bit. And it is a confidence thing at the end of the day, and it does like increase the more you do it. But it's just that kind of mental thing that you're there to work on yourself, and so is everybody else, and nobody's going to be staring at you.
I like that point. See, sorry, Ted. See, what I say to a lot of the female clients I have that maybe aren't as confident in starting their journey And one of the things they always say is they go in and they see all these big guys, shouting, screaming in the mirror, all these big guys, the guys hanging about the squat rack and that. And I always say, those guys are already too busy looking at themselves in the mirror to worry about what you're up to.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Everyone, the amount of the guys in the weights room, they're too busy flexing, looking at themselves in the mirror, worried about themselves. That they're not looking at what your form's like on the deadlifts, how you're doing your goblet squats. But obviously, everyone thinks that everyone else is looking at each other, but it's just not the case.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit to do with the gym culture that you're in. Like, we're lucky in Edinburgh West of Pure Gym, that is, because I think the guys in there are really quite kind to new folk coming in. I don't find it, like, I've been in other gyms where it's been way more intense on that front. And I think, like, looking at, we try our best to try and make a comfortable environment for everybody. And I think that's kind of the way I'd rather the industry was. Like, it's for me personally, I don't really like the idea of female-only weightlifting rooms, because I feel like that's dodging the problem. The problem is this attitude that men are like this and women feel like this. We need to correct that problem, and I know that's a big ask for a lot of people in a lot of places. But I think in Edinburgh West we've done pretty well there. Like, from when I started anyway, I've noticed more and more women in the weights rooms, particularly in the mornings. It seems to be like a prime time. It's kind of like being a lot better. It's not so male dominant. It's less times I walk in there and I just see a guys in stringer vests now. You know, it's normal folk in there now. Eh? So it's we all have to start somewhere in the journey as well. Eh? I mean, we all. And we secret for you, it's just as intimidating for a new guy to go into there as it is for a woman, because for us guys, we're expected to know. Like, a girl, it's like, oh, we'll help him out. Look at this little girl, she's in trouble. We're going to do this. And it's annoying, right? And it's really stupid. But the same thing happens. The guy walks in and is like, oh, look at that guy. Look how small he is. Look how shit he is. That's what you feel like. You feel like, oh, he can't do that. He doesn't know what he's doing. What's he doing in here? You know, and it's just as intimidating for us. Maybe not just as, but it is intimidating, you know, for guys as well.
Just got to keep reminding yourself that all these people were kind of in that boat as well at some point. So you just got to remember, like, they've came from probably the position that you're going in, you know, years back, and kind of overcome it as well. So it's something we all overcome. I know when I was starting out, I kind of felt like that as well. I'm like, oh, I'm this kind of little round podgy guy going in, and there's all these, you know, beasts lifting, you know, crazy weights, like scary looking guys, and just focus on yourself. Forget they're even there. Just imagine you're there on your own, and you're just hammer your own session out, and it will come with time. But it's not easy. It's not easy. But
one of my big questions today actually was that, like, we've obviously been chatting about like what our clients should do when they come back, but one of the big ones is really a lot of new people coming in now. Like, lockdown has made a lot of people feel quite unhealthy or unhappy with the way their bodies are feeling. So I probably think we're going to see quite a big effect of new people coming in. And so, like, Gus, what do you think is like the best advice you can give like a complete beginner, like walking into this gym after lockdown? Like, what would you tell a total beginner to do?
I would probably say a total beginner coming through those pods on day one, I'd probably say to ask for help, like, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because I feel like the first thing I see a lot, like when I take inductions or things like that, a complete beginner comes off the street, they're scared to speak to any of the PTs because it's sort of intimidating. They're definitely not going to speak to any other members, and what they do, they have a little look about anxiously, like a deer in the headlights, and then I'll maybe jump on a treadmill for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or maybe go and sit on the bike on their phone for 50, that sort of thing. I'd say my first thing to say is don't be afraid. Not even don't be afraid, is you definitely should ask for help. Get a little tour of the place. If they're really that new, they'll maybe want to even simple things like a bodyweight squat. How do you do that correctly? Things like that. Don't run before you can walk. Ask for help, and even simple things like how to work the row machine, how to work the treadmill, etc. It comes down to a confidence thing, like you three guys were just talking about in different aspects. But my first big thing would be, don't be afraid to speak to a a PT or a worker in there and get kitted out properly. I'm not saying sign up to a big block and pay all this money. Just little simple things about like free help. You know, we're always here to give a bit of free help. It's not about the money at all. But that's what my big thing would be if you're walking straight in the door.
Pretty sound advice. Lucy, as a lady, did you think there was any stigma to like certain types of training, like that you should or shouldn't be doing? Or you mentioned that people feel uncomfortable going into the free weights. Is there a type of exercise that like you find that women are afraid of doing or intimidated by, or feel like it's not for them? Because I know there's a few exercises that guys think aren't for them. You try and drag a guy into a class.
I know exactly what one you mean. Yeah. You know what? For women, I think I've spoken to MC about this. I used to avoid doing chest, and I would maybe do like one chest exercise, and it would be like a little dumbbell chest press, like on the bench, like hardly any weight. And it wasn't till maybe like last year that I started properly training my chest as well. I think chest press down in that weights room is probably one of the big ones.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think women feel a need to train chest, but I think it's just as important.
Okay.
Yeah, massively.
As any other muscle. But yeah, that's probably the main one. I think weight training did have a little bit of a stigma with women about being making people bulky, and but I think that kind of stigma's kind of
got better, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, I know for men, deadlifts is definitely not deadlifts. Hip thrusts is definitely one of them.
I love hip thrust.
But yeah, no, hip thrusts.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it's just this kind of idea that any exercises are for one sex or the other is daft.
Yeah.
Like exercises are exercises. They're not they're not aimed at men or women.
Specifically for one gender.
And we all need to build our bodies equally. You're mentioning chest. Like it all depends on the individual, obviously. But you certainly want to try and balance your upper and lower workouts, no matter whether you're a man or a woman. One of the things that I found training with clients, or even hands I've had PTs in the past, is an over focus on lower body on women, because they know that women want to do it, or that workout feels more challenging, so they feel like it's something that they can sell. But I found that my biggest successes came from pushing women to do upper body training because they hadn't really done it before, and it made them stronger overall, you know. But anyway, MC, how about you? What's your kind of thoughts to a beginner coming in the gym? What would you do? What would you add?
Definitely agree with like pretty much everything Gussie said. You know, come in, ask for help. You know, it's up to us to kind of be welcoming and friendly so that they do that. So a bit of onus is on us to maybe even just go and speak to them first and welcome them in, give them a nice wee tour, find out a bit about what their goals are as well, because it's all good and well coming in and jumping on a random piece of equipment, but you need to kind of know what you're in for. So I would always kind of tell new people as to, or show them how to make a plan and how to set goals.
Yeah.
Because one of my biggest pet peeves actually is like when I go around the gym and I'm speaking to people and I'll maybe ask them like, what are you training today? What's your plans? And they go, oh, I don't know. I might just do this, and then I might just jump on a treadmill, and then I might just do this. And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. How do you know how you're going to progress, where you're going to go, what you're training? So definitely like get a plan set, goal set, and know exactly what these kind of things are going to do for you.
100%.
Going off that, I think keeping it, someone who's just new to the gym, keeping it fun as well, because you're like, when I came in, if you get stuck doing the same exercises like all the time, you're repeating the same workouts, you do lose that kind of motivation, you lose like disinterest in it. If you're keeping it fun, changing things up, learning new exercises, like going on to new machines, you're constantly learning, building your like experience up.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Like if there's certain exercises you like or things you like training, train them. You know, do the things you like. There will be other things you've got to do if you want to progress. But try and get that balance, having the fun stuff as well, and pushing to getting the other stuff done.
Because we know that we chat about progressive overload before, we know that like in order to get better, sometimes you need to practice the same thing for a bit. Like I know that, as you're saying, there has to be some fun and variety, absolutely, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know what I mean? So you don't have to do the same style or the same thing as your friends or the same thing as this. One of the big bits of advice I would say is like be careful about taking advice from people who maybe are like in your social group, unless they're actually trained or have some kind of real like proper knowledge, then be careful about just taking advice from your pals, because it can lead you down a dodgy path. It's difficult. It's very difficult to kind of have the perfect start to your gym journey. I think I got quite lucky because my one of my best friends was a trainer at the time, a personal trainer. So I actually had someone giving me free tips and kept me relatively safe. And I think it is definitely wise to do a little bit of fact checking. You get all these ideas chucked at you, all these weird articles telling you to do this and telling you to do that. Try this weird exercise where sometimes the basic exercise is the best. So it's going back to that exercise selection thing again.
Do you know, to sort of sum up like what I was saying earlier about, and MC touched on about asking for help, is, and like you just said, is you're lucky enough to have a good mate that was a trainer, is literally, it's about having good people around you. Like when I stepped in on day one, obviously I'm sure I've mentioned them before, but I'm very close with Danny, and he sort of took me under his wing, and I learned so much from him to give me what I've got today, and information that I can give out to my clients, motivators, and anyone. And it's that thing of you're a product of who you surround yourself with. So you surround yourself with good people, you soak up all this information, take in this knowledge, and then you're going to have a much bigger and a more in-depth output.
Yeah, in case you don't know, Danny used to be a trainer at our gym. Danny Gilly, top man, and his brother Liam, they run a business together. You should check them out. I'm sure Gus can link you up if you ever want to know.
Definitely.
We would try to get Danny on this chat for ages. Hopefully one day he'll make the time.
Danny used to PT me back in the day, actually, when I first started out in Edinburgh West.
Okay, well, I mean, at least you had contact with the same guy, legend in our midst. Say, well, I mean, I think we've kind of summed up most of the stuff that we're going to chat about today.
What I'm going to talk about as well is like depending on what your goals are going back, it should be like you've got ways you can train depending on your goals as well. So I think, like Gus was saying, ask for help, find out kind of what adaptations you're going to get from specific things, and that would probably be your focus. So it's important to goal set for that, so you know exactly what you're going back for. I can imagine a lot of people going back now are going to be looking for a bit of weight loss, fat loss, because we've been in our houses sitting on our asses doing nothing. So I can imagine the general consensus, people are going to be wanting to lose weight. They're going to be a bit worried about how they look. So fat loss usually comes down to diet and nutrition. So training, you've got a bit more flexibility with that going back. So
just like our first point, you just want to not do too much at once when you go back. But you're right, diet obviously is always going to underpin.
So it's like don't go back trying to change like your full diet, doing some crazy mad plans, training 3 times a week, 3 days, 7 times a week, whatever, and thinking that's gonna work for you. Like I'm sure we all said it, is gradually build back up to it, get in a couple of days, build it up.
Talking about your goals thing. Sorry about that. Talking about your goals thing. I think all these things can be tied together. We talked about social media as well. I think part of the issue might be establishing good goals that are reasonable expectations. I think one of the problems we have with social media, is the question I was going to ask, was like, do we think that social media is changing our expectations of the way we are and the way we should be, and like our goals? Because I think it does. I think there's a lot of obviously unrealistic images put out there about what we should look like. And I think this is one of the problems, and when it comes to goal setting and having someone like a trainer come in and like yourself and lay out some good goals that are easy to attain, or like have a step-by-step process that are realistic to that individual, is like a huge part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I'm sure we've touched on this on one of the other ones, but a big thing for me is comparison is the thief of joy, and it's that way. You're sitting on Instagram, you're scrolling through, you've got all these beautiful looking fitness models, females, males with six packs, big shoulders, and it's very unrealistic. Some of them can be in a real big calorie deficit to be looking absolutely on fire for that specific photo shoot. And then you've got your average Joe in the gym looking at that, thinking that's what I want to be. It seems achievable, when for a real, from a sort of normal life sort of person, day-to-day guy, normal job, it's a million miles away.
Would you add anything, Lucy? What's your perspective?
Sorry to cut you off there, guys, but 3 minutes, so
3 minutes.
3 minutes to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think especially if you're scrolling through that every day, that kind of becomes your new reality. Like, that is what you think you should look like, especially in the younger generation that are just getting started. It creates kind of a bad image from day one. Like, then you kind of have to assess your, like, it's mindset going in. You've got to realize that isn't realistic.
Yeah.
I would just say stay off social media. Don't even go on it.
Yeah.
On social media.
On social media.
I call it on social media. Just don't even look at it. Just go in, chat to people. You know, we've not been able to speak to people for so long. Just get in, chat to people, have a laugh, build your way back into it, and it'll come. If we had to kind of sum up things, what would we say? Just kind of what I said there. Gradually ease back in. Have fun. Take your time with it.
Yeah.
Have a bit of fun as well. Remember, it's fun. It doesn't need to be tedious, hard work. It doesn't need to feel like a second job. Let's just get moving again, get back in the gym, have a bit of fun, and then build from there.
We've got 4 weeks, so people can start planning, getting their goals written down, and hopefully looking forward to getting back just as much as we are.
Remember, you can contact us if you have any questions. We're on this Facebook page and on Instagram. So if you want to ping us some questions, do that. Absolutely.
100%.
Cool. I think we've said everything we want to say. Have fun.
Hope you enjoyed that one, Lucy. That first one we've had you on. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
Welcome to the team.
Excited.
All right. I think
guys.
that's us, MC.
Yeah. Until next time.
Talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
See you later
on.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.
See ya. Bye.